spot in the semifinals pretty much already. When you up to 2-0, I'm pretty sure there's nothing that really is going to stop you here. We're going to hop into the game. We're going to see who wins that coin flip. And it is going to be Domenic wanting to go first here. And we're going to see what deck we are seeing in this second game for both of these players.
Snake Eyes Fiendsmith, very, very standard so far from Domenic. And of course, that is a deck that Mist is no stranger to, having piloted the version with the Millennium. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen the Kashtira variant as well. But this is as good a start as any for Domenic on that very same deck. Fabled Luri going to resolve here, special summon itself back. So far, no disruption on the very standard Fiendsmith line.
Yeah, it is difficult to disrupt the Engraver right off the bat. Of course, the Droll and Lockred would have been very strong against it. Not what we see here, so the Requiem does hit the field. We're going to activate that effect, and we're going to see if there's a potential Molcharmi Fuvalos maybe activated, as it is.
Yep, exactly that, and well played to you for calling it, and there it goes, Molcharmi Fuvalos, but answered in turn by the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring.
This is the moment where you try to have a second copy, but it does resolve. No second Molcharmi or Maxi by Herman here. So we're going to see Domenic continue his plays with Herman down to just 4 cards in hand to have potential answers.
Domenic in a very, very good position so far. I say that just the Fiendsmith Engraver on the field right now, so not totally insurmountable. However, there could very well be good follow-up from him. Still 3 cards in hand, one of which was the... one of the starting cards, rather, was one of the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, so some disruption, but now looking like he just has a hand with a good amount of extenders so far, probably going to send one of them to the graveyard to facilitate the Diabell Star the Black Witch summon.
I think we can even go a little bit greedy here and equip the Requiem to have a free send. Just another thing that the Fiendsmith cards do so well in Snake Eyes is they provide you with some free face-up cards in your spell and trap zone. You can use them for Diabell Star, you can send them for Snake Eye effects, you can use them for Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. A lot of synergy there between those 2 archetypes. So that's going to be a free send for the Diabell Star, essentially making it a free special summon that also sets the Deception of the Sinful Spoils, which is not as standard so far today. The Azamina engine, as strong as it is, it really goes to show how much the Snake Eye deck can choose from at the moment. They have so many different strong engines that they can even choose to forego sometimes the Azamina cards.
Ash Blossom and Joy Spring in turn coming out from Mist here, a copy of his own there. It will resolve successfully and actually run interference on the Deception of the Sinful Spoils. Perhaps we'll not see the Murcielago or the Ilia Silver, at least for a little while here, short of Mist having some copies of his own.
This will not stop Domenic entirely, though, because we did start with Fiendsmith Engraver. We will definitely have a way to keep going here. We decide to normal summon Effect Veiler. That is obviously the all-important second monster on the field to turn that Engraver into a Fiendsmith sequence. And that's going to demand another answer from Mist here. Otherwise, we are going to keep going, and we're going to pull off some Snake Eye combos eventually.
Never a good feeling to have to commit one of your, resources from the hand to just use as material, but hey, it is a monster at the end of the day. It does allow further extension through the Fiendsmith combo, and with the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring already being committed, it means that a lot of these, while not necessarily fragile, combos can resolve successfully. They still have that additional layer of safety that the Fiendsmith deck really, really loves to have.
Yeah, and of course, you're saying it's not ideal to normal summon those kind of cards, but at least this deck has the luxury to spend his normal summon on those cards a lot of the times, because you do have so many ways to play without your normal summon. Which is, on the other hand, really an advantage. You get to play a lot of those cards and sometimes just use them as a way to extend.
Speaking of extension here, the Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, going to send something from the deck to the graveyard to further capitalize on the Fiendsmith chain of events. Here comes the Snake Eye Ash. There goes the Snake Eye Ash. It should come back in a little bit.
Yeah, it's not going to be gone for long. It's just going to be a short visit to the graveyard for the Snake Eye Ash, because the next thing hitting the field is going to be a link summon between Sequence and Beatrice, and that obviously is going to be Promethean Princess reviving, or trying to revive that Snake Eye Ash just after the Lacrima has inflicted 1200 damage.
Yep. Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, of course, bringing back a fire monster, also limiting you to fire monsters, but presumably that's no issue here for Domenic as he goes through the motions of a very well thought out Snake Eyes sequence. Yeah, Snake Eyes sequence, like
obviously
Fiendsmith sequence, but yeah.
Most importantly, of course, the Promethean Princess only locking you into fire while it's face up on the field, so it is a lock that you can get rid of by either linking with it or getting rid of it with a Snake Eye card. But Poplar, first of all, is going to fetch us the Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes, which is going to place a Snake Eye card from hand, deck, or graveyard in the spell trap zone, which is just another way to extend with Snake Eyes Diabellstar.
Yep, there is Snake Eyes Diabellstar, as you did mention, and that should in turn eventually lead us to a Doomed Dragon.
We're going to send it for Snake Eye Ash, and once again, as with so many cards in the Snake Eye deck, their stay in the graveyard is not going to be very long, because the way you do it with these two is you're going to send the Diabellstar to the graveyard, and then once the Poplar hits the graveyard, it's just going to put it right back there in the spell and trap zone so that it can summon itself out.
Yep, and before we get to Doom Dragon, we do of course have Flambear's Dragon here.
Yeah.
Ready to continue to capitalize on the fact that Mist has already committed the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring earlier, the Fualos earlier. A lot of the disruptions that would otherwise shut down this Snake Eye Fiendsmith build have already been used. Now, Promethean Princess Bestower of Flames sent to the graveyard does mean we have one additional disruption there. Sunlight Wolf going to resolve here. Will it add back the Ash Blossom? Will it add back something else?
It probably adds back the Ash Blossom, which is one of the strongest parts of drawing Ash Blossom in the Snake Eye deck when you're going first, is the fact that you can just add it back from the graveyard if you are using it to stop a Maxi or a Molcharmi Fuvalos. Getting it back for free as an additional layer, like, not only have you taken a card out of your opponent's hand effectively, you also just get that card back for the opponent's turn, which is just massive here. You don't even have to go through the process of, like, Beatrice sending it. You just have it because you drew it.
True enough. And now Domenic has it because he took it back from the graveyard.
Yep.
So looking pretty good here. Continues to establish his field. Still thinking about where we go from here.
It is a little tricky here because whenever you have to go the route via Beatrice to start your Snake Eye plays, usually you have to use your Promethean Princess for it, which is going to mean that you can't really bring the Flambear's Dragon back from the graveyard anymore because you've already used the Promethean Princess.
Yep, 2,400 attack points Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, of course. That is 3 negations ready to play with. Poplar and Ash to defense position here. Presumably they will just become further link material, and that will be the case here.
It's going to be IP Masquerena, and it's going to be a little unconventional here because we don't have a way to put the IP Masquerena in the spell trap zone, because once again, the Flamberge is not going to find its way back onto the, well, main monster zone. It's going to find its way into the spell trap zone, but it won't be a monster for now. But that's going to be it for the turn. It's still a phenomenal end board considering we've played through 2 disruptions essentially, and with 4 cards in hand, that's going to be quite the tough ask here, going up against not only the things we see...
And there is another disruption on top of that from the hand. As impressive as the field is, this is just another layer on top of it. We have the Max C coming down from Domenic. Mist has to play through it, gives a card already off of that Kashtira Unicorn, but there's an Ash Blossom in hand waiting. The only upside to this is that now you know that the Maxi's been committed and that the Ash Blossom is there. Once that Ash Blossom is used, there's not too much you're afraid of coming out of the hand, at least.
Well, depends, right? We see Domenic already, we've seen the Effect Veiler, so we know some of those cards are in there that could still be drawn and have an impact. So that's definitely something to keep in mind when you're pushing into this board. Regardless of the Maxi, to be honest, I do think it's a pretty tall ask here off of Mist with just 4 cards. Of course, Kashtira Unicorn is a good start into this position because it does threaten quite a bit here.
Yeah, of course, the extra 100 points of attack able to just get over the Appaloosa, and does mean that there is the need for a response from Domenic. That response will be, in this case, IP Masquerena's effect to quickly link away both itself and SP Little Knight for the banish on the Kashtira Unicorn. Attempt at the extra deck take from the Kashtira Unicorn here, but another chain starts in response from Domenic.
Yeah, the extra deck rip from the Unicorn is usually pretty powerful. However, when your opponent already has their most powerful extra deck cards on the field, the question is how much is that really going to change in the long run. But of course, we're still going to be able to take apart that Fiendsmith engine, which is so famously just consists of a lot of different one-of cards.
Yeah.
Most importantly, of course, when the Snake Eye deck achieves this sort of end board, you do want to pay attention to the sequence you use your interruptions in. Of course, you kind of have to use your IP Masquerena before you use your Promethean Princess, because otherwise you can only summon fire monsters, and of course that's not what you want to link into on the opponent's turn. So we see Domenic here wisely choosing to use that IP Masquerena as the first disruption.
And both Ash and Poplar now coming back to the field does mean these 2 cards in hand will swiftly be joined by 2 more. And it does mean that we're currently seeing Domenic with both a larger field and a larger hand than Mist.
Yeah. Very commanding position here. Of course, Mist has not really committed much this turn yet. We still have our normal summon. All we've done so far is use that one Kashtira Unicorn. But it does put us back to just 3 cards in hand, really, against an Appaloosa, SP, Ash Blossom, Promethean Princess in the graveyard. So feels like an overwhelming amount of stuff to have to play through. But we're going to wait and see exactly what those cards are. And it is just another copy of Kashtira Unicorn.
And that will in turn give another card now to Domenic.
What, hard draw birth as well, revive it?
Yeah, maybe. Give another card off the maxi while you're at it.
Yeah,
Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames does come out, runs Interference there, Snake Eyes Poplar. The additional effect just coming back to the Spell and Trap card zone. Any response from Mist? I don't think there is possibly one, but there is another attempt at starting something. Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoil is going to eat that Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Is there a further follow-up? Was that a distraction just to eat the disruption? It's all down to one card.
Not sure what that card would even be. It's just an Ash Blossom. Okay. And that Ash Blossom runs into the Appaloosa. Herman trying to go down on his own terms, but it's not quite enough damage yet. It's just going to be a pass to Dominic's side of the field, who does not have to do much here. Just switches that Snake Eyes Diabellstar to attack position and is going to proceed to a 2-0 record here, taking down Herman, who's just been having a rough day so far.
Indeed he has, and that is concerning for him, of course, but also nonetheless very impressive for Domenic, because, you know, you're taking down someone that was so successful in the Duelist Cup, that has attended the World Championship before, and of course has very rightfully earned his place in this competition alongside you.
Yeah.
Domenic going to a 2-0 record, as you said, really looking like a front runner in that group.
Yeah, that group pretty decisive so far from these players. Domenic, of course, proceeding with a 2-0 victory, almost but surely securing their spot in the semifinals, with Herman obviously heavily on the back foot here, who went into this tournament obviously with a lot of confidence, but it goes to show that these other players were also definitely well-deserving participants in this tournament, of course.
And I think the 2 decks being brought to the table with how yesterday's Invitational went as well, in regards to how much Tempai Dragon we saw, it does mean that players are a little bit more reluctant to fully commit to going second strategy, and just seeing both of them in a race for who gets to go first with the Snake Eye mirror match and not threatening a going second deck. I'm really intrigued to see just what exactly both of these players bring as their alternate option in case they are.
Right, because they haven't revealed their secondary deck so far. At the very latest, we're going to see those in the semifinals, because that's when they will have to win with both decks.
Yes, true enough. But before we have the semifinals, of course, we have the remainder of the group stage. And before that, we have a post-game interview courtesy of Ed.
Thank you very much, Ibriz. Yes, I'm here with Domenic, who's just won a second game, which actually now puts you up with Quantal as well, who is another one of the world champions. And also, you've just beaten another person who was at Worlds. Is it safe to say you might be a world champion in the making?
It's hard to say. I try to be humble. I give my best to proceed and to better myself.
Well, that's all we can ask for. So talk to us a bit about that duel, because you came in and just went, that was rough.
I mean, it's Herman Hansen, right? It was pretty rough. The Ash was really good timed, to be honest, but I managed to push through, and I think Maxine, the mirror match, is just too good, to be honest. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and you did do incredibly well, so congratulations. I'm going to let you go and decompress, because I'm just going to have a look ahead. Your next one is the last of the group stages, and you'll be against Bronus. So you've got a little bit of time just to sort of chill out a little. Bronus is actually one of the people we've got next. So speaking of next, we have Bronus versus Moot. So let's have a quick chat with Moot.